6 quiet rules that shape Japanese society. Japan modernized faster than anyone expected, but something ancient stayed in control. Steel replaced wood. Trains crossed mountains. Factories rose where rice fields once stood. In a single generation, Japan leapt from feudal isolation into the industrial age. To the outside world, it looked like a complete transformation. Old traditions abandoned, new systems embraced, a nation reborn. This is the official story, taught in classrooms, documented in archives, celebrated as one of history's greatest modernizations. And much of it is true, but some historians believe this picture is incomplete because societies do not change only through laws. They change through habits, through silent expectations, through invisible rules that guide behavior long after systems evolve. And in Japan, those ancient rules never disappeared. They adapted. And of 4, the official historical version. For more than 2 centuries, Japan remained largely closed to the world. A rigid feudal system governed life. Power rested with shoguns. Samurai served as warrior elites. Villages followed centuries-old customs. Then, in the mid-1800s, foreign ships arrived. Trade was forced open. Isolation ended, and everything began to shift. The Meiji Restoration dismantled feudal hierarchy. Samurai privileges vanished. Western education spread rapidly. Industry transformed the economy. Railroads, factories, modern government. Within decades, Japan rivaled Europe and America. Historians describe this as a clean break from the past, a revolutionary rebirth. Yet many researchers argue what changed most was structure. What remained was culture. Quiet Rule 1. Harmony above individual truth. In many Western societies, individual expression is celebrated. Speaking openly is encouraged. Disagreement is normal. Conflict is part of progress. In Japan, however, harmony has long stood above personal opinion. Some historians believe the ancient concept of social balance quietly shaped every layer of society, avoiding confrontation, maintaining group peace, protecting emotional stability. Even when disagreement exists, it is softened, redirected, sometimes never spoken aloud, not because people lack thoughts, but because harmony is valued more than victory. This invisible rule may explain why Japan modernized without widespread chaos. Change arrived, yet society held together. Factories replaced villages. New systems replaced old hierarchies. But open rebellion remained rare. The culture absorbed transformation quietly, like water reshaping stone. Quiet rule, to duty before desire. Traditional Japan was built on defined roles. Each person had a place: farmer, warrior, craftsman, merchant. Life revolved around fulfilling responsibility. Some scholars suggest that when modernization arrived, these ancient role structures simply evolved into modern forms. Samurai loyalty transformed into corporate loyalty. Clan responsibility became company dedication. Service to Lord became service to organization. Rather than asking, "What do I want?" the question often became, "What is my duty?" This may explain Japan's famous work culture: long hours, collective accountability. personal sacrifice for group success, not written into law, passed quietly through generations. A cultural inheritance. A zero, quiet Rule 3 hierarchy as social stability. For centuries, Japanese society followed strict layers of respect, age, experience, position. Even today, the language itself changes depending on status. Some historians argue this invisible hierarchy prevented social collapse during modernization. As systems changed rapidly, social order remained intact. Students deferred to teachers, workers to seniors, citizens to authority, not through fear, through deeply ingrained respect. This created a structure that allowed enormous transformation without widespread breakdown. Progress moved forward, while stability held the frame. Quiet rule for endurance as moral strength. In many cultures, suffering is something to escape. In traditional Japan, endurance was something to master. The concept of gamen, quiet perseverance, shaped generations. To endure hardship without complaint, to remain composed in pressure, to accept struggle as part of life. Some historians believe this ancient mindset became one of Japan's greatest engines of modernization. Factory labor was exhausting. Urban life was harsh. Economic rebuilding demanded sacrifice. Yet widespread resistance remained rare. People adapted, not because life was easy, but because endurance had long been seen as virtue. Pain was not failure. It was proof of strength. This silent rule allowed society to absorb dramatic change without fracturing. End of a 6. Quiet rule. 5. Collective memory without constant storytelling. Japan's relationship with the past differs from many nations. Rather than endlessly retelling historical narratives, traditions were lived. Seasonal rituals, family customs, community practices. Some researchers suggest history was preserved through behavior more than through words. The past existed in everyday routines. When modernization arrived, these habits continued quietly. Technology advanced, cities expanded, but rituals remained. Shrines still visited, festivals still honored, ancestral respect still practiced. The old world lived inside the new one, not loudly, silently. 140. Quiet rule. 6. Silence as communication. In many Western societies, meaning is carried through speech. In Japan, silence often carries equal weight. Some interpretations suggest that what is left unsaid can be more important than what is spoken. Pause becomes understanding. Restraint becomes wisdom. Stillness becomes respect. This silent communication preserved social cohesion through centuries of transformation. During modernization, conflict was often diffused through restraint, negotiation through subtlety, power expressed quietly, rather than loud confrontation. End of 7. A different picture emerges. When these invisible rules are viewed together, a new understanding appears. Japan did not simply abandon tradition for progress. It layered modern systems onto ancient behavioral foundations. Factories replaced farms, corporations replaced clans, government replaced feudal authority, but cultural wiring remained. Harmony, duty, hierarchy, endurance, living tradition, silent communication. None of these were written into law, yet they shaped society more deeply than policy ever could. The debate among historians. It is debated whether Japan's modernization was truly a break from the past or a transformation guided by ancient frameworks. Some researchers suggest that without these silent cultural codes, rapid industrialization might have caused massive instability. Others believe these traditions slowed individual freedom while strengthening collective power. There is no single answer, only layers of interpretation. What is clear is this: Japan's progress followed a uniquely cultural path, not erased by modernity, carried through it. So, closing reflection. Nations rarely change by replacing their roots. They change by bending them. Systems evolve quickly. Culture evolves slowly. Japan built skyscrapers on foundations older than its written history. Technology moved forward. Tradition moved with it. Progress changes systems. Tradition shapes people. In Sok, this video explores history and disputed theories for educational purposes.